So basically I'm going to show you the basic anatomy of the most common gearbox in Airsoft, which is the version 2. It's normally found in M4s and M16s, those types of variants. So basically I'm just going to show you what everything is, and then if you already got into it, how to put it back together quick. So let's get into it. First, from the back, mine's back-wired, so my connector goes to a stock and my battery goes into a stock instead of having it front-wired to a handguard. Basically the same thing, except instead of your wires going to the front, it goes to the back, obviously. Moving back this way, I have a spring guide. This is when your spring pulls back, your whole spring basically compresses onto this. This is important. You want a good strong one of these. So yeah, mine originally broke, so this one's an upgraded SHS one. You can get ball bearing ones, which they have ball bearings right here. It reduces noise in your gearbox. You should want that, but this one isn't. I mean, mine doesn't. My gearbox hardly even makes any noise, so I don't really care. Moving up more, I'm going to pull my spring out, but my piston is going to come with it. This is obviously the spring and the piston. This is just a normal piston you'll find in basically any stock gun. One metal tooth and the rest of them are polycarbonate. It's your piston head, and my spring's attached to the physical piston. That's how mostly all of them are nowadays. They're attached through a screw in the middle. I mean, no different than most of them today. Moving up a little bit, I'm going to stay up top. I'm going to take this whole set out. I'm just going to need those pliers. So I just disassembled a spring, or took off a spring, that's all I did. So taking this apart, get back to that in a second. This is your tappet plate and your air nozzle. Your tappet plate and air nozzle, I think that Airsoft gearboxes should make them physically one piece, a full CNC'd metal piece, because these tend to break a lot. Tappet plates like to break a lot. One, because the air nozzle press is weird. So yeah, if it was one full CNC'd piece, that'd be so much cooler. But companies are probably never going to do that. They're never going to catch on. So yeah, your air nozzle. What happens is this pulls back through the bevel gear. Talk about that later. But it pulls back. The air nozzle pulls back with it, and then it pushes forward. When it pushes forward, it loads another BB into a chamber, and right after it pushes forward, a puff of air comes out of the air nozzle. So that's why it's called an air nozzle. But if this is broken, then you're going to have feeding problems. You may want to get that checked out if you're having feeding problems, or it's your air nozzle is too long or short, or your hop-up's messed up. That's obviously normal problems for feeding issues. Moving on, this is what I pulled out with it. This is the cylinder and cylinder head. Basically, the piston pushes through this, makes a pocket of air, and then comes out through the head, through to the air nozzle. So you want to have a good air seal through the air nozzle and the piston head, in the cylinder head. Sorry. Moving down, this gear right here, it's the first one. This is your bevel gear. This contacts with your spur gear, which is your middle gear, and your piston. Basically, this spins in a counterclockwise motion, which will pull back your piston and then eventually fire it, because it's only half teeth. So yeah, there's a company who makes a double bevel gear, which basically doubles the amount of makes two sides, so it doubles your rate of fire. You lose about 15 FPS, but yeah, it's called a modified double bevel gear. If you ever want to make your gun fire outrageously fast, that's the way to go. Modified double bevel gear, you can find them on evike.com. So yeah, that's what a bevel gear is. Moving down, this is a spur gear. This is the middle gear. Not quite sure exactly what it does. My guess is to upgrade torque, or to make it max torque. Basically, the way I see it, more gears, the more torque you have, and you need quite a bit of torque for a little motor to pull back a big spring like that. So Yeah, that one contacts with the sector and the bevel gear. It's the middle gear and the bottom. So pulling this out, this is your sector gear. This contacts with the motor right there, and your anti-reversal latch and your spur gear. It contacts through the motor, which this spins, then spins the spur, and then the bevel. And yeah, so also contacts with the anti-reversal latch, which I will talk about in a second. This is an anti-reversal latch with the anti-reversal latch spring. Basically what this does is it makes it so your gears can't go backwards. When you pull the trigger and it spins, after it spins it won't go backwards. Without this your gearbox won't function. You definitely want to keep this and make sure it works. You have to have a spring on it. So yeah, even though it's annoying, you have to have it. Okay, so moving up a little bit. This is your physical trigger, the part that you pull. Has one spring on it for tension. There's some mods you can do to these to make them hair triggers or whatever. I'll eventually do a video about that. I'll do a video about a lot of Gearbox mods. I have a bunch of them. I'm making a super high speed setup, which there's a lot of mods in there, so I'm gonna show everything in there. But yeah, so yeah, so that's what your trigger is. Pretty basic. And screwdriver. I'm gonna fast forward quick through me unscrewing this. So there's a little screw you got to take out. You got to disengage that spring and then pull this up. This is your physical trigger contacts. If your gearbox is locked up or isn't firing at all, you may want to check these contacts or clean them. Yeah, so mine are pretty clean, but what happens is when you pull the trigger, it pushes this little bit forward into the contacts, and then it makes a complete circuit of wires. So that's how that works. Sorry if that was off screen, I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, so that's that. It also connects to your wires and all your harnessing and everything. So moving on to the physical gearbox shell itself. What should be on it is either bearings or bushings. Bearings are preferred. Sorry if you just heard my dog kind of freaked out. But yeah, bearings are preferred. Makes it higher speed. Bushings are basically the same thing except they don't spin. They're just there to space. So yeah, those are bearings. This is your safety latch, I guess you would call it. I don't know the physical real name for it. I've never actually found the physical real name for it. But what happens is when the selector plate is pushed all the way up, this goes up and then pushes your trigger, which then makes it so it's on safety. So that's needed if you want a safety. Flipping this over, this is your selector plate. Again, what I was just talking about for your safety is when this is pushed all the way up, it, as you can see, moves that and makes it so your safety or your trigger can't be pulled. When it's half, what'll happen is this latch. This is your semi-auto latch, or what I like to call a semi-auto latch. What happens is when this is on half, it'll push this in, but it'll keep this down. So you can pull the trigger, but this will contact with your bevel gear right in the back. There's like a V spot, I guess you would say. It's like, looks like a V or a water drop on your physical gear. And you pull that back, and that'll push up, rendering it, making it only go safety. I mean, only go semi-auto, excuse me. And then all the way back, sorry, bearing fell out. That happens a lot, don't worry about that. With it all the way back, that means it's on full auto. That completely disengages, and this is completely disengaged, making you be able to go Rambo and kill a lot of people. So if you want a gearbox that doesn't really lock up and that's only on full auto, you can completely take that out. That doesn't matter. But yeah, that's one of the big reasons gearboxes lock up, is because of this small piece right here. If you notice, when your gearbox locks up, if you throw it back onto full auto, it will not lock up anymore. It'll work perfectly fine a lot of times, not all the time. Sometimes it locks up because of other reasons, but if it locks up because on semi-auto and works on full, it's because of this latch. So yeah, that's basically your gearbox inside and out. Obviously you have the shell that's standard to every gearbox because, well, not standard, but every gearbox has a shell because that's why it's a gearbox. So yeah. Now, all my gears were pre-shimmed before I made this video, so I'm going to make another video later with my high-speed setup video on how to shim. Shimming's really important, so I'll do that. More videos to come are going to be shimming, high-speed setup, which is going to be pretty cool. I'm going to show you guys how to do a completely high-speed setup. Cleaning and greasing of your gearbox. This was already greased. And more anatomy of gearboxes such as P90s, version 3s, AEP gearboxes, stuff like that. And yeah, so look for more tech videos.